This is Sneaker Gears. My name is Levi, and today we have a special for all my Kobe fans out there. And in honor of the news that kind of broke out that Dwight Howard turned down a six-figure shoe contract just so he can keep wearing Kobe's. And today we have a breakdown, comparison, and hopefully a help guide on the Kobe 5 Protro. All right, so I wanted to give you guys a few different options if you're not able to get the Kobe 5. The Kobe 5 Protro, since the untimely passing of the Mamba, is through the roof. You're spending retail about $200, and aftermarket has been $400-$500. So if you don't want to get it based on just, hey, I don't want to spend that much on a shoe, even if you can afford it, but you really want some Kobe's, or you really want to get it and you don't care what it costs and you just don't have $200, $300, $400, because let's be real, this is a lot of money. Now, I can tell you, and we'll break it down, for the money you're spending, you are getting something incredibly special. For the money you're spending, you are getting elite performance, and I dare say it's worth it. So I want to give you two options that are going to be much cheaper, much easier to get, and it's going to give you comparable on-court performance. But there's going to be two things you're going to have to deal with these options that we can't help you with. One, they're not Kobe's. If you're a fan of Kobe, if you love Kobe like myself and many people out there, not just hoopers, not having a pair of Kobe's makes a big difference. Even if they were trash shoes, people still want to wear Kobe's, and thankfully many of his shoes are not, outside of the takedown models like the Fury that just came out. Two, these are low tops, and I think most people, even if you enjoy low tops, you're fine playing in like a mid top. I think majority of hoopers, but the vice versa is not necessarily true. If you generally like a mid or high top, most folks are not as comfortable playing low tops, and Kobe, for better for worse, are low top shoes. They had high top versions for the Kobe's 9 and 10, and then the Kobe mid and the AD, but all that said and done, it's a low top sneaker, and we're going to have some mid top alternatives. So with that being said, the two shoes that we're going to be comparing it to, and they're going to be the best options if you're not able to get a Kobe, are the Kyrie 6, and in that note, the 5 and even potentially the 7 coming out, and the KD13, and potentially even the KD12 if you're able to get that a little bit cheaper. Both of these shoes are going to give you comparable performance, not the same, but obviously you're able to get it much cheaper and enjoy that on-court elite basketball mind and performance that the Kobe line really gives you. So, as always, let's start with the fit. All right, so the Kobe line fit and the Kobe 5 is heralded as one of the best fits ever. And I take that line from the OG grandfather, or godfather, my bad, godfather himself, Chris Nightwing, over from Wear Testers. This is his favorite fitting shoe ever. His own shoe, the NW1, was actually built on the last of the Kobe 5. So it goes to show you. Now, that being said, it does run a bit narrow and it does run tight. My true size in almost every Kobe is a 13. I'm a true 12 wide, so usually I get a 12 and a half. I've tried on a 12 and a half in these, and a 13 is perfect. My toe is kind of right there. Let's see, you guys can focus in on here at the tip, so I have a little bit of space here from the front, but I still want that space. So even a 13 is just right. So if you're a wide footer, definitely go up that half size. It is wide, narrow right through the midfoot here, and I guess it shows more on the bottom. You can see how it kind of cuts out. So this is something that the upper molds to your foot. It is very light. It is very thin. It doesn't feel premium, and it is not durable. This shoe is meant for performance. Think of a race car. Everything stripped down that is not utterly needed. So you have a heel cup that's really pulling you back. You have materials that mold to your foot, that move with you really easily. It's a lightweight, but this is not something you're going to be able to either ball outside in or make sure it gets you through a long time playing. It will break down on you, and it's definitely a shoe that I would love to have multiple pairs, but unfortunately that's just not the case. But the fit is 1-to-1. It's great. Go true to size if you have a narrow or normal foot. If you have a wide footer, definitely go up that half size, or go with your true Kobe size, since there's been Kobe's for a long time. They all fit very similar. So if you are a 10 in the Kobe 8 or a 10 in the Kobe 11, you're going to be a 10 in your Kobe 5. Now, the Kyrie line is another one that obviously took a lot of inspiration from Kobe, just from Kyrie himself. This is the most, I guess, different fit. This is probably the widest Kyrie to date. Every Kyrie, all 5 and the lows, I have been a size 13. I did a 13 in this. Once it broke in, I wish I did a 12.5. So I would say for most players out there, go true to size. And even if you're not a wide footer, I would say go true to size, just because my toe is still right here at the tip, even as this is a 13. So it's not the length, it's just the width and the abundance of material. Now this is giving you probably the most durable setup. This is something you're going to be playing outdoors, or you want to use these shoes to go to the gym, to work, to school, and use it all in about. The Kyrie is probably going to be the best option as far as having the most durable build. You have the additional strap, say from the Kyrie 2. You have raw materials in the back. You have that chunky heel counter. A lot of materials going on. It's definitely much heavier, and you're not getting that 1-to-1 fit, but you are getting something that moves very well with you, and that just feels a lot more premium and durable. Looking at the KD13, this is one that is more like the Kobe 5. This is one that is using generally a cheap, very thin upper. This does not feel premium in any way, but it's light. It moves with you. It molds to your foot. It does take a little bit of break in. This is the only pair here that I was able to do a 12.5. It broke in, so even as wide footers, they are amazing to wear. But this is going to be, I guess, similar to like the Kobe, have a very shallow toe box. So if you have any girth to your foot, as far as either having a wider top of your foot or a higher instep over here, or just your toes are big, not necessarily long, there is not much room. I don't know if you guys can even see it here, or even just comparing them, you can just tell the thickness between these. So guys, take a look at that. It is vastly thinner. So this is something that is actually going to fit very similar to the Kobe line. So if you like the fit of the Kobe, but you're not looking to spend that much money, this is something that's going to get you there for the most part. And then as far as the materials, I would say these are a little bit more of an upgrade over the Kobe while giving that secure lockdown. And from fit, let's just roll right in the support. Now, the KD13 is probably the most supportive KD out of 13 models. Maybe second to the KD7, but it's close. This is giving you, like the Kobe, these straps that really pull you back down into the heel cup that I always felt with the Kobe line, which is essential from a low top. This is giving you something where you're in the midsole just a little bit, where you sit down underneath, so you have a little bit more containment, and you're having this strong upper that really just contains you as much as possible, also doing double duty as something very lightweight. This is not on the level of the Kobe, but it's close. Now, this is giving you a slightly rounded outsole. I don't know if you guys can see that there. So it's not a huge round, but it is something where you feel a little bit quicker. It's still quite stable, and it's much less round than we had in the KD12, and it's much more stable than the KD12. So this is something that is definitely an upgrade from any KD in the past, and it's towards what we're getting on the Kobe. Maybe not that close, but close enough, especially for the money you're going to be saving. Going backwards to the Kyrie, this is also one of the more stable and supportive Kyries that we've had. It has one of the biggest heel cups here in the back. It actually has a much less rounded outsole than what we've had on, say, going back to the Kyrie 2, where they've always been kind of rounded, where you feel quick, but this just has a little more of a flat base and a little bit less rounded edge, so you feel much more stable with the Velcro strap, with the raw materials, and the fact that this is one of the closest to the ground playing Kyries, going back to the 4, 5, and the 6. They got lower and lower to the court. You definitely get a lot of court feel, and we'll go into cushion here in a moment, But what that does is you just feel very confident in the shoe. Now, again, it is more of a rounded outsole, so it is meant to feel quick. So if you're looking for the most stability, this is not going to be it. But for Kyrie, this is really good. And in this bunch, I would say this is last, but that's not a knock on it. You're talking about a $200 premium Kobe 5 shoe that's one of the best supportive low top shoes you can buy. That's tough competition. The Kyrie does a very good job. That takes us to the Kobe, which is just phenomenal. One, you feel close to the court, maybe not as close as the Kyrie, but being closer to the court, you just feel much more stable. I don't know if you guys can tell just the width of this. I put my hand down here. It's just a super wide base with a giant outrigger. Let me see if I can put it up where this thing is just sticking out a ton. No matter how you land, you feel like you're really stable. Being low to the court, having that wide, completely flat base. I think that's one of the other key features. There's nothing rounded about this. So again, maybe it doesn't have the slight nuanced quickness that you're getting from those rounded edges, but at the same time you feel so much more planted. You're getting a similar super sturdy heel cup from the Kyrie, but you're getting that better lockdown pulling you back in like you're getting from the KD, all while being a low top, so you have complete freedom of motion. You have a little bit better feeling of where your foot is on the court, and it's just done amazing. If you don't like low tops because you feel you need a little more stability, or you don't trust the shoe, this is definitely one you can enjoy. Now again, you're spending $180, $200, resale $300, $400. I hope it's good, and it really is. But if you're going to save the money, either one of the KD13 or the Kyrie 6 is going to do a pretty good job. Now the Kyrie 7 is coming out here very soon, and that looks to be incredibly similar to the Kyrie 6 with, my estimation, maybe more improved support. So that may be another option that we have coming out here soon. Working our way down to the cushion, that's where a lot of the magic happens here with the Kobe 5. This is using the same cushion setup as the $400 Adapt BB. And two things, it's using that Cushline 2.0 heel foam that we first saw in the Adapt BB. That was a cushion I never really felt before. It was highlighted here in the Heritage N7 or N7 Heritage, where this was a shoe you put on and you're like, this is shockingly comfortable. The heel foam on this is super comfortable and borderline too mushy for some players, depending how light you are or how small you are of a player. That's something that might be too much cushion. One of my favorite IG and YouTubers is Shade and Souls. Shout out to him. I'll put a link there. He said he didn't like the heel cushion. It was too much for him. And mind you, I'm about 80 pounds more than he is. The Kobe line is a great balance. You're going to find bigger players saying that this has just enough cushion, maybe they could use more, and you're going to find lighter players saying this is maybe too much, where it's right there in the middle. So that heel cushion, again, I do have two pairs of the OG Kobe 5s, and those have giant heel zoom, and the only difference is going to be that zoom is going to last a little bit longer over the foam. But honestly, the impact protection and the feel is very similar. We're getting a nice plush heel landing. And that takes us to the Forefoot, where essentially you have, and you can follow my fingers here, the whole pad, this entire thing with Zoom Turbo. So you have a giant surface where you feel that Forefoot cushion, a little bit of bounce. You're still close to the court. It's not bouncy per se. This is not like the BBNXT or, you know, the LeBron 17 where you have this super zoom bouncy cushion, but it's balanced. I think a lot of players are going to feel where it's either really well cushioned. If you're a bigger player, you're going to feel like, oh man, I feel quick, but it's not too much cushion. This compared to the Kyrie line that debuted the Zoom Turbo setup that also has a similar shape. This is either using a larger Zoom bag as far as the thickness, so you feel it more. It's either closer to your foot, so you're going to feel that bounce a little bit more, or that combination with the Cushline foam just works with that Zoom bag better, so it can actually move and react with your foot. But by and large, this is a fantastic, well-balanced, and one of the best cushion setups you're going to get on any shoe. Second to this, and maybe better, depending who you are, is going to be your KD13. Your KD13 is using a full-length zoom with double stack zoom in the forefoot. And the folding zoom is not just your normal folding zoom. This is using a zoom strobel, in which I can actually show you here. And the difference being, not only is it closer to your foot, but it's actually attached to the footbed. So let's see if I can get it here, guys. You guys can see the stitching built into the zoom bag. So what that does is it gives that zoom bag a lot of flexibility to move and flex. Now the KD12 had a double stacked heel zoom, and it also had holes in the midsole, which allowed the zoom to reflect and react even more. I think that was a little bit more fluid, had maybe a little bit more bounce to it. But this having that double stack zoom is definitely something that is way more bouncy. The heel portion does feel similar to the Kobe, but this is definitely more of a max cushion option versus the Kobe. It is still very fast playing. You still feel close to the court. You still have something that's very lightweight, and you still have that forefoot zoom. You just have more of it where it definitely feels bouncy. So this is a similar cushion setup. Depending who you are, this might have too much cushion, but I think most players enjoy it, and it does a great job balancing it as well. It's just a little bit better balancing act by the Kobe line. And again, you're going to be saving a lot of money going with the KD13, and you're still getting an absolutely premium cushion setup. And finally, the little brother to the Kobe Protro is the Kyrie line. The Kyrie 5, 6, and now the 7 all use a zoom turbo setup. Obviously incredibly similar to the Kobe line. The difference is, 1, in the foam used, 2, the thickness of that zoom bag, and 3, just the placement, how close it is to your foot. This is a zoom. It still feels pretty firm, but you feel it all over your toe. There's not a specific spot like you have in certain shoes. It feels like you have maybe a little bounce on like a full sprint where it's helping you a little bit, or if you're coming down from a hard landing or a hard jab, it's absorbing that and giving you that little bit extra, but it's not bouncy. Take that away. And as well as the cushion used, this is using the injected Phylon, and it's using much less foam than we got in the Cushlon on the Kyrie 4, or I guess just a regular foam on the Kyrie 5. They really didn't say what it was. I really prefer this over the Kyrie 5 by far. You feel close to the court. It definitely feels a little bit lighter on foot, even though it is definitely a heavy shoe. But that injected Phylon is nowhere near what we're getting from the Cushlon 2.0, or obviously the folding turbo on the folding zoom on the KD13. This is something that is kind of a baby version of both. It's definitely more court feel, guard oriented, fast playing. I'm excited to see what little improvements they make to the Kyrie 7, where they can kind of improve on this and maybe make it closer to what we get from the Kobe Protro 5. But even though this looks similar, this does have the zoom turbo. And obviously, for a budget option, if you can't afford the Kobe's, or you just don't want to spend that huge amount, if you're a guard, you're still getting an absolutely amazing cushion setup that you'll definitely feel fast and enjoy. It's going to protect your body. Just know the Kobe, you're spending extra money and you're getting more cushion. It's definitely a premium option. And finally, the traction. Now, the traction is a easy, let me grab it, win for the KD13. This is by far one of the best traction setups you're going to find all year on any shoe, period. Now, people have talked about the durability of the shoe, and honestly, if you play hard in a shoe and you're always playing outside, it's going to wear down. I have worn this for a few months. I've worn it outdoor, I've worn it indoor, and this still looks really good. Durability is going to be pretty good. I don't want to make any judgments because I'm not playing in the same shoe all the time. Doing reviews, I'm rotating shoes, so I can't tell you this is super durable and this is the best one, but it is way better than what we've had in a lot of Nike shoes in the past. The Kyrie line is probably second. Sorry, guys. This has more of a multi-directional, almost looks like a herringbone blade. Definitely a weird setup with the traction, but it works. And it's consistent, and it's actually fairly durable. Now, it is a thinner rubber, so that's why I think the KD is going to be a little bit better for outdoors, but by and large, still technically a better performer than the Kobe 5. So the Kobe 5 does have a weakness. Now, that being said, it still is really good. This is similar to what we're getting on, say, like the LeBron 17 with the clear sole. When I first did my review on this, I played this with my OGs, which had kind of that older, the rubber started to give, so that was a terrible comparison. And I did play with the Protro version of the Kobe 4, which we have right here. Gotcha. So this, with more of that herringbone setup, hopefully you can pick it up there, is way more consistent than what we got on this multi-directional setup on the Kobe 5. Playing with both, even side by side, this just was way more consistent than the Kobe 4 and a way harder bite. The Kobe 5 worked. It was decent. It is not bad. I don't want to say that by any means. And especially when you're playing on indoor courts, on clean courts, you're not going to notice a difference. But if we're being nitty picky, obviously this is the only kind of shortcoming of the traction of this. Not to mention, it is absolutely the least durable. But when you're spending this much money on a shoe that is such a premium and is really just an honor the Kobe, really, I would not recommend this for outdoor hooping anyway. Wrapping it up, hopefully all this helped you guys out. In no way am I saying the KD13 or the Kyrie 6 is a better performer than the Kobe 5. This is one of the best performers of the year. And technically, yeah, maybe the KD13 is a little bit better, but this is 1, a Kobe, 2, a low top, 3, way more stable, and just 4, it looks way better. It's a Kobe. So guys, that does make it better. It's also $180, $200, $300, $400. If you can get the KD13, which I've seen as low as $80, you're getting a majority of this performance at an elite level. You're sacrificing, you know, a few of the high level things as far as how you feel, but you're not really sacrificing too much on court. Now, the Kyrie 6 is definitely more of a guard version of this, where it's closer to the court. It's something that you're gonna feel a little more shifty with those rounded edges, and it's a little more durable overall. Actually, a lot more durable as far as the materials, the rubber compound, and something that you probably wouldn't mind people beating up on this. Someone steps on your shoe. Someone steps on my shoe in this. This is definitely something where I'm, oh, biting it, like, come on, man. You're hooping, it's gonna happen. So these are 2 options I can recommend to a lot of my hoopers out there who are looking for something, who maybe can't get the Kobe 5, while also just giving the Kobe 5 the praise it deserves. If you're looking to buy a Kobe 5 and you're spending that kind of money, hopefully this gives you some information on what you're spending it on and, you know, why it's worth that money. And again, this same setup, Nike is charging $400 on the BB or the Adapt BB. So this is definitely a great value depending how you look at it, but with the resale market and with the Kobe shoes being how they are and the fact that it's hard to get this at retail, it's sad Nike isn't doing a Nike ID or, you know, Nike by you for the Kobe line, because I think a lot of people will do homage models and colorways, and they could sell as many as they want, and I think they will do a lot, because I know I would be buying one in a heartbeat. But this is a terrific model if you can get your hands on it, and if you can't, go grab the KD13, go grab the Kyrie 6 or maybe the Kyrie 7 and still enjoy yourself on the court, get better, enjoy the game, improve your performance if you're playing in any professional level or any competitive level, no matter how old you are. But guys, if you enjoyed this video, girls, guys, players out there, give it a thumbs up. Consider subscribing to the channel. I will have some links down below if you guys want to click and buy the shoes. It does help the channel out. And we may start to do our own gear. If you guys are looking for sneaker gear swag, let me know. And hopefully we can get things rolling. Guys, I appreciate you. This is Levi Sneaker Gears, and I'll come at you later.